Okay, what's up, everybody? We are live here at SolarCon. We actually just got done with a little recruiting panel.
Yes.
And I'm excited. We got someone that was on the panel with me here, Christian Deluca. He's coming on the podcast with us. Thanks for coming on the show today, Christian.
100%. Thanks for being the best moderator in the game. I guess some of the podcast stuff transfers over, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah, so we just got done with this panel. I'm like, man, Christian dropped some bombs up there. Like, let's just run up a podcast right after. So
yeah. Perfect timing. The juices are flowing, so
I know.
it's good.
Keeping the momentum rolling.
Yep.
So I'm excited because Christian, he talked about some really cool systems he has in place for his company to recruit a massive team. I mean, he's grown his company from a few reps to now he's got about 100 reps.
Yeah, about 100 reps. Yep.
Yeah. And how long did it take you to get to 100 reps?
I mean, it's taken about, I would say, a year or so. It's fluctuated as well, but yeah, I'd say just about a year.
Yeah. Well, still, that's insane. Like, you see so many companies, and especially he's in California too, where we've seen so many companies just like disappear with NEM3 and all these challenges, and Christian's still being able to build his company and keep it rolling. So I'm excited to talk about that. And then also he's a Golden Door. What year did you get your Golden Door?
2022. So then got the award in 2023.
Okay. Yep. So we're going to be talking about like what it takes to be a Golden Door Award winner, how to build a massive team. I'm excited to get into it. So you ready to roll?
Let's do it, man.
Okay. Let's jump into it. So yeah, I know you started with another company, Dealers, before, but do you want to give our listeners kind of like a background?
So I mean, my dad was in the industry, and I think like if you actually look at it, it seems like all roads lead to Vivint or Solar City.
Yeah.
So my dad was in the industry, he was selling, and they actually used to own athletic clubs, and so. You know, as I was younger, I would grow up in athletic clubs and I'd be passing out towels to people that would walk in. And when the 2008 economy crash happened, my parents lost everything. Right. And so I went from I was honestly a spoiled kid. Like I'd go up to the front and I'd ask for like fruit roll-ups or something or like a Gatorade, and I'd be like, put it on the tab. like I thought I was the coolest kid ever. And I went from that, and not that we became poor overnight or anything, but definitely a more humble lifestyle after the 2008 economy crash and we lost all the businesses. And so after that, I think that's like kind of humbling as a kid, and it's cool because you can see like the perspective of like what it's like to have abundance and then what it's like to not have abundance, because then what you can do is then you can make a choice, like what do you want in your life. And so after that, my dad started knocking doors, and I'm like 13, 14 years old, and I'm like, what are you doing? Like, I thought you were this businessman showing up in a suit every day. Like, you're out knocking doors. Yeah. And then, he started making a ton of money doing it. And, I got to see the lifestyle that we got from the doors. Wow. And I was like, wow, okay, the doors That's actually cool. can provide. And so, as I got older, I really wanted to get into the door-to-door industry. Really? And it's funny because, most people, when you're in kindergarten, you're not thinking, oh, yeah, I want to be in door-to-door. Most people are like... I want to go to the moon. I want to be a doctor. Firefighter. Or if you're Taylor, you're like, how can I find free stuff on the internet? But exactly. Essentially, I really wanted to get into door-to-door. And my dad told me, he's like, you need to go out and get 3 jobs before you get into door-to-door. And so I think what it did is it made me respect the opportunity so much more. Because most people get into it almost unwillingly. Yeah. Their backs against the wall, and then they get into door-to-door to try to fix some sort of situation, right? Yeah. It seems like that's the typical rep that gets in the industry. And so I went and I worked at Safeway, traditional, scanning the groceries. Nice. And the hard part about jobs like that is you can show up in whatever state you'd like to be in. Right? Yeah. I could be hungover. I could show up drunk, whatever it is, right? It didn't matter. The groceries are going to scan the same. Yeah. And after that, I went to Costco, and these jobs just give you an idea of what you don't want to do. And this is when I'm 17, 18 years old. Wow. And then I started selling cars for a place called Courtesy Automotive. It was BMWs and Mercedes. And I worked with a sales representative there, and he was like, Christian, he's like, why are we selling these? We should be driving these. Yeah. And I was like, whoa, that's kind of eye-opening. But I started selling cars there. And after that, hopped into the solar industry. I didn't have the traditional, go out and, sell 100 deals in your first year. Okay. I started, and in the first 2 months, I didn't sell a deal at all. Really? And I only had $2,500 in the bank. And so I blew through that $2,500 in the first month. Second month, my living expenses were about $2,500 every single
Okay.
month. Second month, I was $2,500 in credit card debt. And then the third month in, like on the first or second day of the month, I sold my first deal.
Nice.
And then after that, I did 8 the next month and just up from there.
Wow.
But I think like a couple things that really helped were just like, number one, I had to earn the opportunity to get into the industry. But then number two is like, I'm really grateful for those times when I was like in credit card debt, because it just really tests like how far are you willing to go to make this thing happen.
Yeah.
That's
so good. And I love hearing, I think you're the first person I've ever heard that their dad was like door to door. So he was in solar, your dad was?
Yeah,
Okay.
he was in solar.
Wow.
And yeah, it was funny. And so,
That's
I mean,
so funny.
after that, I started working for a company called Phoenix Solar Energy, which actually my dad brought me over to as well.
Okay.
Started working over there, and he was like a huge mentor for me. And the company started growing at like a really rapid rate,
Yeah.
because we had the Paradise Fire, the Camp Fire,
Yeah.
12,000 homes overnight burnt down. And so obviously after that, a lot of people want storage, right?
Yeah.
And also when they're rebuilding all these homes, it's mandated that they have solar on them too.
Right.
So started selling a lot of accounts, and I guess company didn't end up doing too well. Like the classic solar story, I know you've been through it too.
Yeah.
I was building a team there, and then lost, tens of thousands of dollars in commission. So that was pretty rough. Then after that, went down the dealer route, because I'm like, if one installer did bad, then that means I need 3, right? And I think like that's kind of like the natural progression. And so I started working with like multiple dealers, and like it's hard. You hear the phrase, you chase 2 rabbits, you get none. Also, if you chase 3 rabbits, you get none. And so like we were doing around like 25, 30 deals a month. And then finally one of the guys I had worked with at Phoenix, his name was Cody, and he was more on the operations side. He's my business partner, Cody Pitts, and
Nice.
he had his license and everything. Because I'm just the sales guy. Like I'm not going to be out there like installing solar.
Yeah.
And so we partnered, and then we've started to build Ohm ever since then. And
Wow.
yeah, that was kind of the beginnings of it all.
Yeah, that's cool. So does your dad still do solar? Is he working for you now?
Yeah, so he had some health issues, and so he like essentially like just helps consult and then does some recruiting as well.
Okay.
So still have him like work with us in the business.
Nice.
Yeah,
Father,
cool.
son, I love it.
Yeah.
That's so cool, man.
Yeah.
That's awesome to have your dad. And was he like, was he kind of pushing you to build your own thing? Did he have a say in any of it, or?
Yeah, so he's going through like some medical issues. There's a lot of stress from like when that company went out of business. As much money as I lost, like for him, it was like triple, quadruple.
All right.
So had some health issues due to that. And so like really at that time, I was like, well, like I need to be able to build an opportunity where not only I can help provide for myself, but like for my family as well.
Yeah.
And so after that, I was really just like, I think that's the biggest motivation you can have, is like when a family has a health issue, to like be able to like help take care of them as well. And like he's killing it now, but to help provide is like probably one of the bigger whys that you could have.
That's cool. Were you, I don't know if this happened, were you ever like competitive with your dad? Like,
oh yeah,
like start out selling him. He's like, oh, my kid's not going to beat me. You're like, I'm going to beat my old man.
Yeah. I wanted to beat him every single month, and he wanted to beat me too. And like, it was funny because he'd hold me accountable. And when you have conversations with reps when you're trying to get them out on doors, and reps do this all the time, and I did this, is they choose an activity that's productive, but not as productive as it should be.
Like pipeline, managing the pipeline
right.
when you should be knocking.
Taylor, I'm putting together Aurora designs. I can't go out and knock doors. It's like, dude, come on, bro.
Following up with all
like I needed to have non-negotiable time. And it's funny because I'd go and I'd work out at like 2 p.m. and my dad would be like, you need to set non-negotiable time for the doors. You need to set non-negotiable time. I'm like, that's stupid. I'm not doing that. Like I just wouldn't listen to him. And it's funny because now I have those same conversations with reps. Yeah. I'm like, well, you need that non-negotiable time. And
that's so cool.
I've been there.
Yeah. That's cool. Well, no. And so, you, so what like motivated, was it just seeing that other company, like, have some struggles, is that what motivated you to go start your own organization? Because that's a big step, and a lot of people, it's a lot of work, as I'm sure and you'll talk about, but what was the motivation to go start your own thing? Yeah,
I think it was that. And then when everything goes bad, like, everything not to do. So then it gives you like a clear vision as to what to do, right?
Okay.
And so I think that helped a lot. And it was just natural. Like, I was the sales side of things and Cody was the operational side of things. And so we meshed really well. And so from there, like it, obviously I think even I started a business, a full EPC, even when I still needed to develop. There was areas where I still needed to grow. Like I didn't become a Golden Door Award winner until like we had Ohm for like 3 years. It wasn't just like some overnight success. And so like what it took a lot of was just like investing into myself and like the personal development aspect of the job.
Yeah.
It's like when we first started, like we were making good money, but like I was spending a lot of my time like going on vacations, like not really reinvesting into the business and just trying to live the life, but not like do the things necessary to really grow the business. And so like a huge foundational piece for me was like Cody, and I think everybody has somebody in their life. And if you don't, you need somebody who can help hold you accountability. Accountability is like one of the biggest aspects of this job. And I'm really grateful because Cody helped hold me accountable. And he's like, Christian, dude, you're capable of more. Like, I need you to get out on the doors. I need you to start building teams. Like we can't just be running this EPC off like your own personal accounts. Right. Like we're doing, not a ton of numbers to begin with. And so like he held me accountable to go and do it. And then naturally I start looking for like, where can I find good information? Like one of those places, which is so funny, is Solarpreneur, right? Other place is like Door to Door You. And just like the resources are out there for anybody to go and be a Golden Door Award winner, build a team of over like 100 reps. And I think that's the hard part is we all know what to do. It's just like having somebody in your life that can hold you accountable to go and then do it. Which like, and especially in California, not as many people are like EPC shopping anymore or redline shopping, but like what you really should be shopping for is accountability. Who's going to push you to like go and do more and take you to that next level?
Yeah, that's so good because like you're saying, I mean, there's already so many resources. Even if you never bought like DDDU, any coaching program, whatever, like you can go on YouTube. You can, come to events like this, SolarCon we're at right now. But yeah, if you don't implement any of the information you're getting, then it's not going to help you that much.
100%.
So, but yeah, that's so cool. And well, I'd imagine like you're running the company. Did it take you a while to figure out? Because there's a lot of stuff you have to do when you're the one running the company. How did you like manage all that? And still, do you have any advice on like when you're having to run a company while also still being able to sell a lot? What did you do to kind of like still produce while you're running the company and everything?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think it's just non-negotiable time. So like I think if you live by your calendar, it makes it a lot easier. So like when you have like, people make the excuses like maybe there's operational things that are going on in the business is like use for us, like you have to set two different times. There's time for maintenance and there's time for growth. So maintenance is like fixing the things in the business that need to be fixed. Growth is in like the afternoon when people are home and you can go out and sell deals. And so I just like separated those two things. Like maintaining is fixing all the little like operational issues. Like how do we get the pipeline moving faster? Growth is like, how can I find time to go out and like actually the inputs that are going to like bring revenue into this business? Because like without sales, it doesn't matter how good your systems are. Right. Like you need systems or deals to like work the system or put deals through the system essentially. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's so true. Like, there's like you're saying before, there's so many reps that waste time on pipeline management and all this stuff. But I think I know for sure that's something that's helped me get a golden door and tweak a few things, just like doing those non-negotiables like you're talking about. Like, so okay, if I made a commitment to knock between 2 to 7 or whatever, then I should be out there. I shouldn't be out like following up with customers or like,
dude. And one thing with that too is like the easiest hack, and Michael Donald talks about this, but the easiest hack to get out there and be accountable is naturally like as humans, we're really tribal, right? Like if I tell Taylor, I'm going to come out and we're going to go knock at 1 p.m. Like I will be there 100%. If I tell myself, Christian, we're going to get out there at 1 p.m., 105 rolls around and like, dude, I'm not out there. Right? I'm finding an excuse to go to the gym, do Aurora designs, eating Pop-Tarts at home, like not doing the right things.
I know. Yeah, for me, it's finding free stuff. Got a deal.
Taylor's searching the internet for any 20% discount you can find.
He's giving me a hard time because I love free deals and stuff. All the birthday deals and get free stuff. But no, that's good. And yeah, it's so important. And I think we'll talk about this a little bit more, but I think that's one of the big traits that will separate like the Golden Door winners from just like the struggling rep is they're super efficient with their time. They've got
Yep.
the non-negotiables.
Yep.
Like they're putting in the time to generate leads every
Yeah.
day and not like,
Yeah.
making excuses.
Dude,
on
and
other
if you
things.
could break down being a Golden Door Award winner to just a couple things, and I've gone through this framework like with our team, but it really is this simple. It's like, number one, create a non-negotiable 5 to 6 hours to go out and do income producing activities,
Yeah.
not make Aurora designs.
Yeah.
That's the first thing. The other thing is like have the faith and the family and the fitness, like have all that stuff, like the whole person paradigm going. So
Yeah.
you're in the right state when you show up to the doors. Then the only other aspect of the job is like there's really only 6 objections that make up for 90% of what homeowners say.
Yeah.
So it's like not interested, not a good time, you're the third solar guy. Those are the 3 smoke screens.
Yeah.
And then the 3 actual objections are like too old, I need a new roof, and my bills are too low.
Yeah.
And all you have to do is have all of the like the whole person paradigm and your state in the right area, go out and put in the non-negotiable time, and then memorize the 6 responses
Yeah.
to the like 6 most common objections and have a pitch memorized and do it over and over and over again. Like
Yeah.
if you could break down being a Golden Door Award winner to like
Yeah.
its simplest terms, it's probably that. But the hard part is like we know all the right things to do.
Yeah.
It's going back, like the accountability to do it.
Yeah. Seriously.
And who is holding you accountable to do those things.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, and so I think that's huge. Find an accountability partner. But yeah, it's funny. Like, I don't know if you've done that in like your sales correlations. You get the reps. They're like, oh, there's just endless objections. I
Yeah.
can't overcome them. Then you ask them,
Yeah.
okay, what are the objections you're getting? And
Yeah.
like you hardly ever get people thinking of more than like 10 things. And
Yeah.
yeah, like you said, they come down to pretty much like 5 or 6 anyways,
Yeah.
no matter like what you can say.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So
Yep.
yeah, but yeah, if you can do that, find an accountability partner. So your company, do you guys have a structure where you're like holding people accountable?
Yeah.
Or like, what does that look like for newer guys? You tell them, hey, you're going to have this, a mentor, or like,
Yeah.
how do you guys do that?
So
there's a lot of,
for reps and managers, the most important thing is to have systems that promote accountability. So like if we leave it up to our guys to get out to the doors, and let's say there's no manager call,
Mhm.
or there's no car groups, or there's no van program, do reps get out on the doors? It's like most of the time, I would say no.
Yeah.
Or they find every reason to just go put in like 2 or 3 hours.
yeah,
So a lot of the times, like the reason when I worked back at Safeway, I would go and I would work 8 hours and I wouldn't do 6 is because that was the shift that I was like mandated to do. Right.
Yeah.
And so like, how do we create that same type of thing, and not the exact same type of thing, right? Like we want people to have freedom in their job, but like, how do you create that same type of thing within door to door? And it's within your systems. And so like for the reps, and it's funny because our reps love car groups now. Our reps love the van program now. Like they
Nice.
love getting dropped off because like we've tied their why to it. So if it's like, hey, A, B, and C rep wants to be able to give back to their family at some point.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, dude, you're going to need accountability to do that, right? You're going to need a van program. You're going to need somebody to go and drop you off an area to make sure that you're doing it, because if it's up to you every day, it's not going to happen. And that's not because you're a bad rep. It's because that's how we're wired, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like we're wired to be more accountable to other people than ourselves.
Yeah.
And so just creating systems for that, whether it's the car groups or whether it's like manager calls and like accountability calls to help get those guys out, or a van program. We have
Yeah.
one of our teams that we just bought a 15-person van for,
Yeah.
and they go out to
That's
area
good.
in it every single day, and they have the best time ever in it, because when they're out going to area, they're listening to the Solarpreneur podcast, right?
It's the-
Like they're developing on their way, and they've turned like the van into a university.
nice. That's so good.
And when they get dropped off an area, like you're not going to just go sit on the curb. Like you're going to go make it
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah. We did that. I haven't done that in a little bit. That's a good idea. But yeah, one of my companies, we had like 3 or 4 of those vans, and just
Yeah.
same thing, load everybody up. And
Dude, it's the
And
funniest
it
thing ever.
works.
And they have the best time ever.
Yeah.
Like I want to be in the van with them.
Yeah.
Take me out.
I know it works for sure. Yeah, but I want to hear. So when you got your golden door in 2022, right?
Yeah.
You got, okay. So yeah, for those wanting to like hit those type of numbers and installs, what would like your daily schedule look like? I don't know if you have
Yeah.
like routines. How many hours were you putting in knocking?
Yeah.
Like setter closer. What does it look like for you that year?
So how it started is I just recruited a lot of different people through like warm networks, and it wasn't even through the systems that we'll talk about later. It was really just through like I was born and raised in Chico, So
Okay.
I knew a ton of people in the area. Like I had that advantage to me.
Cool.
And so a lot of people would see what I was doing and like the commission checks and all of that. And they were kind of attracted to the opportunity. And then those people's friends and so on and so forth, kind of like the spider web effect. And so I'd bring those people in, teach them how to set. And so we had a sales system. So we had the word tracks for like how to overcome the top 6 objections.
Yeah.
And we just kept it super simple.
Okay.
This is how you overcome the top 6 objections. This is your pitch. This is what you go out and say. And then we'd do correlations every morning around like 10 to 11 a.m. And then we'd get out to area, go and knock. And essentially like it got to the point, and I had a co-manager with me. His name was Max. Max works with us today. Absolute stud. And so Max and I had our different roles, right? And so like we came to an agreement and we set expectations from day one. And I think that's a mistake that people don't do is when they recruit somebody in to like co-manage or like run a division or a region or a team with, they don't set expectations of like where people's genius are. So like
Yeah.
Max was way better than me at going out and training the reps on the doors, how to do the job,
Okay.
right? And like when the reps had issues that they were experiencing in their personal life, they would always call Max first.
Nice.
And then when they needed to be held accountable, Max would let me know. And like I would go and have that conversation.
Nice.
And so like Max and I would split the appointments up. And so like that was a system that worked really well for us because we set expectations and we both knew what we were good at.
Yeah.
So I was running appointments like all day, right?
Nice.
And I think a lot of the best Golden Door Award winners, they figure out a way, and it's important to get out of them doors and lead from the front, right?
Yeah.
But also like the best leadership is delegation, but also empowerment.
Yeah.
So like how can I empower a group of setters, 10 to 12 to 20 setters to go out and set more appointments than they ever have in their life
Yeah.
and make a ton of money, right? Like I don't need to be out self-genning every single one of my accounts. If I need to do that to lead from the front, to set an example, like I'll do it.
Yeah.
But for the most part, we had the system down. So like these guys are making a ton of money. We're out closing the deals and like it's just like a focus on the training. And I think one thing that people miss too, and it's a lot of the value, I think you'll notice is like in the simple things.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you've noticed this, right?
Yeah.
And just like doing the one-on-ones. And so like we do one-on-ones with these reps, me and Max together. And the one-on-ones would be more about their personal life than it would be about solar.
Yeah. That's good.
And so like when they start opening up, is a lot of the times, and Doug Cartwright talks about this in the Alchemy sales training,
Yeah.
is like people don't have a sales problem. They have a personal problem that's affecting their sales.
Yeah.
So when we'd get down to that and to the root of it, like we could help solve that issue.
Yeah.
Like I've had stress, anxiety, and depression and all those things in my life. And I've used like cognitive behavioral therapy and stuff to like help work through those things. So I felt like that was an area where like I could really excel. And like, I think that's how you create loyalty too, because when you can like change somebody's paradigm or like help them through an issue that they're going through in life, number one, as a leader, it feels freaking amazing.
Yeah.
And number two, like I think those people are eternally grateful.
Yeah. That's fire. Yeah, and I think a lot of probably managers listening to this, they don't really think about those things. Just like, hey, just stop making excuses, get out there.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
they don't.
Like, how does that work?
Yeah, but then they're wondering why their reps don't go perform.
Yeah.
But that's a really good point, and I think that could be applied to a lot of ways that
Yeah.
people behave. Is I hear like people that have addictions or whatever, like alcoholics and all that. A lot of times it's just because they're using that as like medicating other underlying issues and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, how did you like maybe help these reps kind of uncover what those problems were, dig deeper, like figure out, okay, what's the real reason you're not
Yeah.
like.
So reps are just like homeowners. So like our job actually teaches us a lot of like how to handle that. So when you're overcoming objections and somebody says not interested, is that a legitimate reason for them to not go solar? It's like, no, it's a smokescreen, right? And like sometimes people would be like, I just can't get out there and like knock. I just can't do it. And like that's the smokescreen, right? And like if I help them actually uncover the real reason why they're not able to get out there and knock, it's like you just need to spend, and I think time cures all, right? If you spend enough time with these people and with these reps, eventually they uncover like the real issues.
Yeah.
But the time has to be also invested in outside of work.
Okay.
Because if it's just always in the office, like it's hard for them to open up, right? But when you go out to dinner and it's just like, and maybe a good like lens or frame to view it through is like if I was trying to make a friend, like what would this conversation be like, right? And like really truly try to understand like what's going on in their life and ask the deeper questions, like, and get to understand their family situation.
Yeah.
Like then all of those things, there's no like, I don't think there's like a perfect word track or anything.
Okay.
It's just like you have to genuinely go out there and build a relationship.
Yeah.
And then like your closest friends, if they're having issues, Taylor, like they're going to tell you what they're experiencing, right?
Right.
It's not like you have some perfect word track to uncover like
That's true.
why my friends aren't doing well.
Yeah.
Like they're just going to tell you because they trust you.
Yeah.
So like you have to go and build that trust, which means like making time outside of the job
Okay.
and like caring what the guys care about.
Yeah.
Because if it's just all about you and like what you care about, nobody's going to buy in. Nobody's
Yeah.
going to care. It's
Yeah.
like we have another manager that works with us. His name's Jack, and he's really good at this. And Jack's really good at caring about what the guys care about.
Yeah.
And then you have
So-
influence. Then you have trust.
Yeah.
Then you can actually make an impact.
Yeah. That's really good. And yeah, I think too, just for, building that trust, like having them want to be confident in giving you appointments and all that,
Yeah.
like not just feeling like a number and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's huge with setters. So that's good. So yeah, sounds like it's just really, you guys developed like a really good system with your setters, and we're just in appointments pretty much all day. And
Yeah.
that's what
If you're in
biggest thing,
appointments
though.
all day, you're going to win a golden door. Like
Yeah,
it's
no.
that simple.
That's
So
all I
then
wanted
the
to.
question should be like, how do you get in appointments all day?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, do you develop people? Cool.
Yeah, yeah. Well, no, and that's good. And I think that's like obviously we just got off the recruiting panel here, and I
Yeah.
think that's a good segue into that is like you can't you need guys to build the system. And I know
Yeah.
we can talk about like how you need to structure it, because obviously it gets tougher as you gotta, have a really good system when you bring more and more people in. So but let's get into that. So what's like your recruiting system, or what were you doing? I guess early stages when you
Yeah.
got your golden door, how has that kind of evolved? Now you've grown your
Yeah.
company a lot.
So early, it wasn't really systematized because I was blessed with like the ability of like, okay, I was born and raised in Chico,
Yeah.
knew a million people there. We were
Nice.
we were a year-round program, so like we're just knocking this area over and over and over again, and like just ran into a ton of people I knew. I just also, when you knock doors, you're not afraid to go out and have the conversation like when you walk into a restaurant.
Yeah.
And so like through that as well. But what helped like I guess really grow the team is also when you provide an experience and like you're able, like I was talking about earlier, able to uncover those personal issues
Yeah.
and help solve them for those guys. That's like something that like it's bigger than just the job, and they're going to go out and they're going to tell their friends, their family, like they're going to tell everybody about this job, and then all their friends are going to want to like work here as well.
Yeah.
And so like a lot of people will focus on recruiting, but I think the first step is to focus on the experience first.
Okay.
Then once you build the experience and the platform, then like the recruiting becomes easy.
Yeah.
And so after that, we started to become more systematized because we really starting, especially after NEM 3, is like NEM 3, I think for a lot of us, like it either completely killed you or it helped you like grow in a million different ways. Because if
stronger,
you don't have good operating systems now, like it's definitely tougher, but that's not a reason not to do it. Right.
Yeah.
And like if you don't have good operating systems now, it's going to be really hard.
Yeah.
And so it became more systematized. And so we actually met through Sam, and we're a member of the circle, like the inner circle with Sam Taggart's
Okay.
group.
Yeah.
We met Luke Maseko, who is he owns a company called ABR Recruiting. Or Always Be Recruiting.
Okay.
It's called ABR. And so he helped teach us the system. And essentially, like what you do within the system is it's called a stump speech. So what you do is typically, Luke uses this phrase, birds of a feather flock together,
Okay.
right? So when a recruit is going to be friends with a bunch of other A-level recruits, right?
Yeah.
D-level recruit, the guy who just won't get out on the doors, has a bad attitude, is probably friends with a bunch of guys who have bad attitudes.
Yeah.
And so like we want the contact lists from the people who are the A-level recruits and are already killing it. So what we do is we do a stump speech is essentially like we get them all in a room, we hype it up, get the energy all crazy, just like you normally would for a correlation, get the music going. And essentially from there, what we do is we throw out these incentives.
Okay.
So, Taylor, if we were to get 250 contacts from you, it's so dumb, but you get an energy drink.
Yeah.
Right?
That's-
Taylor, if you have 500 contacts that you can share with us, we're going to get you an Ohm hat.
yeah.
And it's going to look way better than that Legacy hat. No, I'm just, Legacy's a great company.
Yeah.
Love them.
Yeah.
And if you give us 750 contacts, Taylor, we're going to take you out to Fish Street Steakhouse tonight.
Nice.
Right?
Yeah.
And so they're directly incentivized to share the contacts. It's also like we pitch it like, it's easier to do this job with friends than without friends.
Yeah.
And so it also provides a benefit to us as a business is like if a bunch of their friends are here, they're more likely to stay as well. So it's a retention program too. And essentially we download this app called SA Contacts where you can download all your contacts. So we tell them, delete all your family members, delete Pizza Hut, delete freaking whatever you have in there, right?
Yeah.
All the people that you know for certain would not be a good fit for this job. And so essentially they go through and they delete all those contacts and then they share whatever is left over.
Okay.
But the key part is like if you just have them come in and write down a list of 25, they're not going to get to 25 because they have to make the physical choice to take them from the contact list and add them to a piece of paper.
Yeah.
It's easier to delete contacts than it is to take contacts and write them somewhere else.
Yeah.
And so they delete all the contacts and then they share it with us. And then we also take the incentive to another level is we want retention as well. So what we consider a recruit is somebody who sold 2 deals or had 2 installations, right? Because we care about installs, not just sales.
Right.
And so we throw out an incentive. If you have 1 recruit that you bring in from this list, which they don't even have to passively manage it anymore once they give us this list. If you have 1 recruit that you bring in who has 2 deals, then we're going to get you some Nike Dunks. If you have 5 recruits that have 2 deals, we're going to send you and your significant other to Cabo.
Nice.
Right? Because
That's
10 deals, what is that worth to your business?
Oh, yeah.
It's a lot more than a trip to Cabo.
Yeah.
And so you just kind of start to scale this out. But that's the brief overview of how the system works.
Yeah.
But it's exponential too.
Yeah.
Because what happens when you get their network? You get 1 guy, 10 recruits from his network.
Yeah.
Then from those 10 recruits, you get, maybe 30 more guys. And it just has this compounding effect.
Yeah. That's so good. And yeah, we were talking about a little bit about that in the recruiting panel, just barely too, but it's similar principle. If you think of referrals you can get from homeowners, it's how the people that you're looking for, they're already in the contacts of, people you're surrounded by. Yeah. So that's why I think it's so cool. And when you were talking about that, I'm like, dude, I got to get on this system.
We got to get Taylor on it. There is a lot more to it. That's the brief overview, but dude, I'd love to go into more detail with you. Yeah,
definitely. But yeah, a couple other things that I'm sure people are wondering. So I know in the panel you talked about you have someone will just call through all these people. Yeah. So was that just someone you hired or how did you get someone to just start calling all these guys?
So it's funny. We had Jake Hess was a consultant with us for a good period of time. And he still helps us out. If I call him, that dude's super abundant. He'll always answer the phone.
Yeah.
And so he helped bring in a guy named Jody, who is our VP of sales at home. Okay. And he kept opening my eyes to systems.
Nice.
And I've always been the guy I'll just do it myself.
Yeah.
I'll get it done, whatever. Or I don't need a system to be able to train this guy. I'll just tell him what I do and he'll figure it out, right? Yeah. But that's not replicatable. And so with this recruiter, I realized it can't just be the managers calling these guys. It can't just be me calling these guys. To really grow and scale this thing, we need to bring somebody internally and provide this as a service to our sales teams, right? Because we have 2 different customers. Number 1, our sales teams, and number 1, the homeowner. And so we brought this guy in. His name's Steven. He's an absolute killer. I've trained him just through essentially we built out a system with hey, these are, the top 15 qualifying questions that you want to ask. Because when you get on the phone, you need to qualify them. You need to pull back a lot. Yeah. The biggest mistake that people make is when they get on the phone is they just sell.
Yeah.
And what the end potential rep thinks is this is an MLM. Yeah. This is too good to be true. So if you start to pull back and qualify, they realize that there's scarcity in the opportunity.
Yeah.
So we brought Steven in and we started to teach him how to do all these things. And it's funny because all the managers know how to recruit. A lot of the closers at our company know how to recruit. Our VP of sales knows how to recruit. I know how to recruit. And so naturally, just by proximity, Steven has become this amazing recruiter.
Nice.
And everybody's going and training him. And then we created this whole recruiting handbook for him so that what he's doing right now is he's hiring the next level of people, and we're essentially building out a call center just for the recruiting aspect of things.
Yeah, that's good.
Because recruiting is a really high leverage activity.
Yeah.
And so if you go and knock on 1 door and make 1 sale, typically that's a 1-for-1 transaction.
Yeah.
Maybe if you get a couple referrals for it, it's a 1-for-3 or 1-for-4 transaction.
Right.
But if I bring in a new rep and he's an absolute killer and he goes out and does 100 installs in a year, that was a 1 for 100 transaction.
that's-
Like, what's the leverage like on that?
Yeah.
So like
Yeah.
naturally, that's where you put your focus, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's so good. And like, yeah, that was a focus of our recruiting panel too. It's like those that are just focusing on sales. Yeah, it's great. Like, yeah, you can go out and win a Golden Door award yourself and you won it. But I think now you've been able to like multiply yourself and
Yeah.
like, that's where you see more and more growth is when you can recruit an army and go out instead of you just personally get a Golden Door. Like, how cool would it be to recruit like 6 other people that got Golden Doors instead of you just getting it? To me, that's way more. That's
100%. That's impact right there, and that's
Yeah.
what we all want at the end of the day.
Yeah.
People want community, and to be the person to build the community is like,
Yeah.
it's freaking cool, dude.
Yeah, it's so good. So yeah, for this, for people listening, yeah, I mean, hopefully that opens for the listeners, people tuning in the podcast today. It's like you should be at the very minimum, like what Christian's talking about is just using the warm contacts, the people you bring in,
Yeah.
get them to, like make a list at the very minimum of people you can contact. But if people want to get like a guy like to call, did you just was this someone you were working with, Jake S introduced you?
So I told earlier about the story about the guy when I was selling cars, and he was like, oh yeah, why are we driving, or like why are we selling these cars? We should be driving these cars, right?
Yeah.
Like that was the guy. So like I had a relationship with him already, and he was doing sales at a car dealership. And sales is pretty transferable. I just needed to like help teach him the systems. And like, if you have a recruiting handbook of like, these are the questions you ask on the call. These are how you overcome, like, again, goes back to the systems. These are how you overcome the top 6 objections of what like recruits are going to say on the phone.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. All we need to do now is just teach you how to disposition it to like all the different managers and go from there.
Wow.
It's like all transferable. It really is like all very similar, I think.
Yeah. Wow, that's so good. Yeah. Well, I know that's definitely something that I'm lacking in. Yeah, like I told you in the panel just barely.
Yeah.
There's so many people that just like, get a contact to recruit and then they just forget about them.
Yeah.
So a lot of this is follow up. So do you guys have all this in like a CRM too? How do you like manage your recruits and everything?
Working on that portion. It's just like we have so many contacts right now that's like working through them and like building out the systems for that.
Yeah.
Wouldn't necessarily say that that's my expertise right now, but we do follow up, and you can disposition them on things like rep card. But hopefully, creating a better. Not hopefully. Got to be intentional with the language, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
We are going to build out a better system.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that will be part 2, podcast part 2.
Yes,
once you get that dialed in
next month.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, and then another thing, this is something we didn't really touch on in our recruiting panel, just barely, Christian, but like something that I see a lot of companies fall short on is they bring these reps in, maybe they are getting quite a few recruits, but then they just like throw them out, say, all right, hit the doors. I know you talked about like car groups, vans going out. But what sort of system do you have in place for new recruits to come in to where they're like hopefully going to get their first deal in the first couple of weeks? What do you guys do to kind of like organize that and onboard them successfully and everything?
That's a really good question. And I was actually thinking about that as we were talking. I'm like, I don't want to miss out on that portion of this because I think it's actually the most crucial part. Yeah. Because if you recruit them to nothing happens, right?
Yeah.
And so what we do is we build out systems for that as well. Like to get your onboarding pack, at most companies, you show up to the meeting and you got a polo, dude. Yeah. You have a hat. But like, why not put that on the other end of them doing the trainings? Yeah. And so training at platforms like Lightspeed and stuff is they'll print out a certificate once you're done. And that shows that you've completed all the trainings, and it shows that they're actually bought into the opportunity as well. So we get to weed out the people that aren't actually going to go and invest in themselves in their free time. And then at that point, that's how you earn your gear. So like that's one way to like almost kind of gamify it or systematize it.
Okay.
Other things is just like the accountability. Like a lot of the things that you're going to learn is like Lightspeed and these one-on-one trainings, and the meetings are going to help you. But how are you making sure that you're getting out on the doors every single day? Yeah. Because the more problems that you go and then run into, the more solutions that you're then going to seek. Yeah. And then the better rep you're going to become. Yeah. It's like, I think the worst reps are the ones that don't ask enough questions, right? Yeah. But like to ask questions, you first need to run into those issues. Yeah. And so just like going back to the system of the car groups and getting the own van going as well. Yeah. So yeah, between the training and there's a lot of other things, but I think those are like maybe some of the core fundamentals.
Okay. Yeah, because all this other stuff we talked about, like, it doesn't mean any. If you, like you said, if you recruit people to a bad culture, a bad system, there's no onboarding process, then you're just losing recruits right the second you bring them on. So yeah, it's really important. Whoever's listening, just figure out some way to like train them, have them onboarded.
Yeah.
Got some light back here.
And focus on the self-development too.
Good.
Like at home, like our claim to fame. I'm sure people have used this before, but it's like we're a self-development company that just so happens to sell solar.
Yeah.
Right?
Classic.
I'm sure you've heard it before, right? A lot of people say
every solar company,
right? All of them. We're all self-development companies, but who's actually executing on it is a more important thing.
Yeah.
And so like that's something that we like really, really focus on is like the self-development, and it's in our core values too. And like, have you ever read the book Traction?
I don't think I have.
So it talks about it talks about EOS, which is like the entrepreneurial operating system. And if there's one book that you can read on systems, it's Traction.
Okay.
And so it talks about like hiring and firing people based on your core values and like how to build out systems and such as well. And I think that stuff has helped us as well.
Nice.
Like, because then you actually get alignment in your business and like you're working with the right people.
Yeah.
And also like when you have so many recruits as well, is you get the opportunity to be picky.
Yeah.
So like that serves your business at a really high level too.
Yeah.
It's like if out of 1,000 I get to pick like 10 or 20 of the best, like I think you're in a lot better position and you get to pick people that align with your core values, and you don't have to be like every other solar company who's hiring anyone and everyone that has a heartbeat. Right?
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Like, do you have arms to knock the doors? Like, cool, we'll get you, dude.
Exactly. You're just throwing mud against the wall, see what sticks and everything.
Exactly.
Yeah, so true. Well, that's a good point too, is once you do get these systems in place, what are some, like, I don't know, maybe challenges you guys went through? Because I'm sure probably in the beginning when you just had 10, you built it to 15, 20. I'm sure maybe that wasn't as tough, but now, like, I know you got 100 reps, I'm sure you got multiple managers, all this stuff. So what are some challenges that maybe you ran into as you like grew it to where you're like, okay, actually I got to expand into multiple offices, multiple managers? What was that like for you guys?
All comes back, and Jody, God bless you for opening my like eyes to this, but like the systems, because like if it's just me running a team, I don't really like, for the most part, I probably don't need many systems besides the accountability to get them out on the doors.
Yeah.
I can just like white knuckle it and make it happen, right? By just inspiring everybody, holding them accountable, teaching them like all the right principles and getting them to believe in the right things, like abundance versus scarcity and all these different things. Like I can white knuckle it through that. But then to go and teach multiple different people is you need frameworks to teach them through. Yeah. And so we've developed things like we have a thing called LDP at home. It's a leadership development program. And it's like a 6-week course that we put our leaders through. Nice. And then the next level of leaders through. So like the closers who we think are going to be potential managers. Okay. So like we're systematizing it to be able to get the results that we want. Okay. And so then you have to take like the things that you understand and know and pass those on to the reps and be able to put it into an easily digestible framework. So like for us, one of them is actors, which is like a leadership framework. Okay. So accountability is one of the tenets, and these are all the tenets, like the major tenets of leadership: accountability, culture, training, operations, recruiting, and then state. And so like if you add up all of those things, like all of those are the ingredients to run a perfect team. Okay. And then we just get like, that's the macro. We get really into the micro of like, or the details. Yeah. Or like, of like each of those things. Yeah. So yeah. Yeah, that's so good. Well, dude, this is blowing my mind. And Christian, you're what, 25? Yeah. Yeah, like, man, if I would have known half this stuff when I was 25, like, this is game changer. Yeah. So no, I'm just super impressed to see like how much you've been able to build running your own company. And hopefully people listening to this can go out and implement in your own offices, in your own teams, just build these systems, have accountability, and, you know, work off of warm recruits, all those things. And then, like you mentioned, you're in Sam Taggart's circle and all that. Yeah. So how much does that play a factor? Like, obviously you invest in yourself, you invest in training, you invest in your guys, you talked about light speed and all that. Like, has that been a big, would you say, factor in your guys' success? Huge factor. I mean, so many of the closes, like from the 2 conditions close to the assumptive close, like all the different closes, like I learned from door to door you. Nice. And so like I don't feel like necessarily I'm anything special. I feel like I just have like the push or the drive or the motivation to like go and seek information. Like if
Nice.
you're constantly an information seeker
Yeah.
and not just looking to be spoon-fed information, like you're going to develop and you're going to grow really fast.
Yeah.
And so I noticed there's a correlation. All the reps and how we're able to decide who gets into the leadership development program
Yeah.
is we just look at one thing: who's asking the most questions, and also the input too, like who's
Yeah.
knocking the most doors. But it's more about like I said earlier, I don't feel like I'm anything special. It's just like the people you surround yourself with.
Yeah.
So like being surrounded with Sam like helps you think at a higher level. Investing into ABR and like the self-development.
Yeah.
I've invested into Knockstar, Mike O'Donnell University. Like
Yeah.
I bought Chris Lee's course. I saw you had Chris Lee on here
Yeah.
recently.
Nice.
I feel like I bought all the freaking courses and I'm just like constantly like taking in this information, and it
Yeah.
brings me to a higher level. And just surrounding yourself with the right people. Like luckily I've had a family that was like super supportive and like really entrepreneurial. So I feel like I had that going for me.
Yeah.
I also like when we recruit people in, like when Jody came in as a VP of sales position, which was like really hard for me at first because like I'm like, oh, I have to give up all this like control and like I don't get
Not
to
the
like
guy-
have all
not
the
the man you
yeah
were.
right
Yeah.
but like I just like took the mindset of like, you know what, I'm gonna be open to learn from him.
Yeah.
Right. And nobody likes the people who like are the know-it-alls or like I understand everything, like I can't learn. Right.
Yeah.
Those are like the worst people to talk to in the world.
Right.
But the best people to talk to, on the contrary, are the people who are like open to learn and like take new information and are like seeking new information. So like I feel like I'm constantly learning from even like the people that we bring into the business. Steve Jobs has a quote. He's like, we hire smart people to tell us what not to, or we hire smart people to tell us what to do. We don't hire smart people to tell them what to do. And I probably absolutely botched that quote just now, but like you understand the concept.
Yeah, that's so good. So yeah, so important to invest in yourself, and yeah, we got some coaching training we do over here at Solarpreneur. You need to buy my program, man.
Dude, I'm in there, bro. Let's go. Seriously, willing to learn.
Yeah, but don't be like me and just get everything for free. Like, no,
Yeah.
I have invested a lot in myself too.
Yeah.
I don't just get everything for free.
No, I believe it.
But yeah, so important to invest in yourself and constantly be learning, because I think that's what separated you, Christian, is like you've learned all these things, but then you've gone and actually implemented it. And
Yeah.
you talk about the accountability, going back to that.
Yeah.
It's like you can't just buy this stuff and not do anything, because
Yeah.
a lot of people will buy all these trainings and do nothing too.
Pay attention to what
So,
you pay for, right?
Yeah, people will pay attention. So
Yeah.
so it's powerful. So yeah, Christian, if people want to maybe connect more with you, hear more, ask you more questions about like systems and stuff, what's the best
Yeah.
way to get in touch with you?
So you guys can feel free, shoot me a text. Personal number is 530-588-1848. I also operate completely off abundance. I don't care if you're coming to work with us or not. Super willing to help. It's just like a good feeling overall. I feel like if you do enough like good things will happen to you as well.
Yeah.
Also on Instagram, C_Deluca. And then if you want to see what's going on over at OHM, you can follow our internal page at OHM Center, CENTER. And yeah.
Nice. Let's go. So guys, go check them out. And these guys are exploding. Can't wait to see where things go next. And last question, Christian, for maybe like a struggling rep,
Yeah.
or maybe I'm sure you've got those, people in your company that maybe they're really struggling to turn around. What would you tell that rep? Or maybe you have like a personal example of like a rep that's turned around.
Yeah.
What do you tell these reps, and how could you help a rep like that?
Yeah, I think we have an example. There was a rep out in Sacramento recently, and I feel like his mindset was a little cloudy. First 3 deals canceled.
Okay.
Rough.
Yeah. Tough.
This next month, like 15 days into the month, he set 5 deals that have closed, and they're all going to stick. And so like one of the things and the tenets that like we preach and promote is just taking ownership for everything in your life, because then you can go and fix it. So if like he's to go out and a new rep is to go out and blame it on the doors, that's like they just created a circumstance that they can't fix.
Yeah.
Oh, the doors suck. Like nobody's interested.
Yeah.
Solar's super saturated. It's like, cool. Does that mentality give you power? Right. And so like checking your belief system to like, do the things that I believe give me power? If they do, continue to believe in them. And if they don't, get rid of them.
Yeah.
And the best way to like empower yourself is to take ownership for everything, because then you can go and fix it. And you'll actually start to seek solutions. So we joke at home is like, I'll ask reps, like when they're complaining, I'll be like, hey, what's the company name? They'll be like, Ohm Solar. And I'm like, yeah, it's Ohm Solar Solutions, not Ohm Solar Complaining.
Solution. That's so good.
But yeah, if you take ownership, you can fix it.
Yeah.
If you try to like delegate out the ownership to someone else, you're going to be living based on like their problems. So
Yeah.
just take ownership is the biggest thing.
Yeah. 100%. Love that. So, Christian, thank you so much again for coming on the show. We'll have to plan a part 2 for sure in the future. And yeah, guys, go hit him up. Let him know you appreciated him coming on the show. And we'll talk soon. Thanks, Christian.
Cool. Thank you, Taylor.
All right.